Pretty sure this is gonna be perfect.
Hey, here we go. The intent of this is for it to be replayed, okay? I want to talk specifically about how important step-ups are for curlers of all levels. Really should have set this up before we got going here, but okay. I think step-ups have the power to help you with your alignment, your balance, your endurance, and your power, depending on which variation we choose. But you have to make sure that you're doing your step-ups properly to get the most out of it. And this is where it can really help with that alignment. Okay, when we're sliding, when we're throwing with a delivery on the ice, okay, we get that opportunity to need to keep our hips level, to keep our hips square. One of the areas I like to look at is our sacrum, where our tailbone is. It needs to aim where we want to go. We need to have one leg in flexion and one leg in extension. So if you're limited in your ability to lift the leg or extend at the hip, this step up can help you as well. Okay, things are popping up here. Capture moments as they happen. We're not going to do that. Okay, so I want to go through the different types of step ups, lots of different options for you. But to start, when you're picking the height of your step, we need to make sure that your hips don't hike or twist. Okay, so from behind, if I pick a height that's too high, I'm going to hike that hip, and we don't want that. Okay, you want to pick a height that I can keep my hips level. That's number one. Whether you're doing this for endurance, strength, power, you need to be able to pick a height that's appropriate for you. Even if you get that foot up there, okay, and you can stay level, but then you go to step and you have to hike to step, that's going to impact what you get out of this exercise, and you're going to continue to transfer those core movement patterns into your curling. Okay, so we need a height that's appropriate for you, and we need to also focus on hips first. So I've got my foot on this step, my hips are level. I want to make sure that as I shift my weight into this leg to push myself up, this is the kicking leg right now in curling, okay? Hips are square. I want to make sure that the hip, the muscles across the hip are what are pushing me up, not that foot. It's not doing the pushing, okay? And not the knee, okay? I want to feel like we brought this hip back and we're muscles across the hip are leading the charge. Whether you do this into a marching position or not, that's going up. Coming down, I don't want you just to drop. I want it to be controlled. Okay? I want it to be in a position where we feel like as the hip is going back, the knee is going forward, and we're getting a good shift and loading into this leg. Okay, so we have the opportunity, if you're a right-handed curler, we're working on kicking out of the hack on the way up, okay, controlling it on the way back, teaching us how to load. On the left-hand side, we're focusing on that control and that alignment to start, and then that control and alignment to lower down, even though we never kick out of the hack with that. Now, I mentioned in the description that this translates to our brushing, that ability to throw your body over your brush. I don't have a brush right now. That's really powerful. So right or left leg, we need this on both sides. Okay, so looking at this from the side, from the behind, making sure that our hips stay level as we step up and as we come down. I want to turn us around here and see me from the front. One of the biggest tips I have for people is actually learning how to line up and get a hip shift on the side of that lead leg. So this femur bone is driving back. This hip goes back, this hip comes forward. Okay, this puts us into what I call nose, knee, big toe alignment. Okay, it allows us to actually load that hip a little bit more and keeps us from going laterally. Okay, which some people slide, they slide with a lateral shift. We want that hip to load and go backwards. We see this in lunges, we see this in split squats, okay, and of course we see it in step up. So I want to get that nose, knee, big toe on the way up and on the way down. So even at the bottom, I'm starting with that hip shift, okay, I'm getting over that lead leg, I'm coming up, and then as I'm coming down, my hips have opened, but I want to square and I want this hip to go back as I go down. Okay, this is a wobbly step. I didn't choose properly. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're getting that nose, knee, big toe. Now, the beautiful thing is we're working on our alignment, we're working on our balance, we're working on making sure the muscles are lengthening and contracting. We're working on the timing. aspect, okay? Nose, knee, big toe, hips, okay? Hips on the way up, hips first on the way back. So we don't overuse that knee, and it also allows us to get that knee a little further forward. Some people get afraid of that forward should angle, but we need it, okay? We can do more reps. You wanna work on endurance? You do more reps, more sets, more volume, okay? So you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 12, you're doing 4 sets of 10, okay? Either side. With or without weight, and I always tell people they can hold on to something and be like, we wanna increase our strength. We're dropping the reps, okay? We're dropping down to 4 to 6 per side, and we're adding some form of resistance. You can hold it in a multitude of different places, okay? But continuing with those same nose, knee, big toe. Okay, we can bias a little bit more external rotation, get the glutes involved. We'll put that weight in front, like this. Okay, sorry, hip shift that allows me to push my hips back a little bit more in space. Okay, so less reps, more weight. Now we're working on strength. And then we also have the opportunity to work on power, okay? We need to build that foundation of good movement, endurance, and then strength, and then power before we can move forward. A lot of people just hop to power. They don't have the alignment, they don't have the endurance, the timing is off, okay? And they miss out. So we can do a power step up and drive through, okay? We need that strength in order to create that power. Okay, so step ups, underrated, I think. They're in pretty much all of my off-season programs. There's something that you can do at home, something you can do in the gym. There's something you can do if you are brand new to lifting, okay? We don't need to use a step this high. We could use smaller steps. I don't have any here. We could use smaller steps. You could use the step at your house. Even the step at your house, let me grab a tiny step. I have one. Tiny step. Okay, I can work on all of these things with a tiny step. So even if you're recovering from an injury, as soon as I put my foot up on a step, I don't want this, I want the hips level. I can work on my nose, knee, big toe. I can work on making this, put lots of weight into this leg to push me up and lower myself down. Okay, we slowly increase the height of that box. Honestly, as long as you can keep your hips level, that's what we're looking for. And then we can change the variation based on our goals. It should be at every single part of our off-season program, in my humble opinion. And if you're looking for a program, you're like, hey, that's great. I'm just gonna do split or step-ups all summer long. I'm gonna switch up the variations, but I need other exercises. I've got 10 plus programs for you in the off-season. Curling specific in the way that I just described, right? I'm not making you be in the delivery position. I'm not making you be in the brushing position specifically. We're doing movements that mimic, that make sure that you move well. We're doing movements that help increase your endurance, your body awareness, your strength, your coordination, the timing, and the power. So we're building up off of that foundation of strength and moving from there throughout the off season. We've got 3 to 6 months until curling starts again. If you need a program, let me help you. Send me an email at steph@empowerperformance.ca. Okay, check out my website, all that. I've got loads of programs for all of you. We start the next phase of the EP Lab. It's not too late to join, even though we're in phase 2 of the off season. And we're starting to take from that foundational movement that we were working on for the last few months, we're starting to actually increase our repetitions, increase our volume, and start to challenge that muscular endurance system a little bit more. After that, we're focusing on strength, and then after that, we're focusing on power. So I've got the whole summer planned out for you. We've got lots of good stuff to make sure that we're moving well and increasing our confidence, increasing our strength and our prowess. And every single off-season program, especially EP Lab, includes brushing specific drills. We're going to be doing dry land brushing, but also the exercises that are going to help improve not only your technique, but your fitness to make you the best brusher that you've ever been. Okay, so this is the best time to join. Monday, June 8th. You can join today and kind of get a sneak peek of the program heading into Monday, but we're starting a new phase Monday, and I'm really, really excited. If that program doesn't sound right for you, you can always send me a message to ask for a little bit more specifics. And then we also have some custom options as well, if that I can tailor anything to your equipment, your fitness level, your goals, the time that you have, or maybe you just want a little bit more one-on-one, a little bit more back and forth. Have a fantastic day and enjoy your step ups.